Right, so out of all the videos that I want to do, this one I think will age the most poorly. I'm basing it on the kind of conceit that the assumptions I've made earlier about the Warhammer 3 core factions will be correct. That it will be Kislev, Ogre Kingdoms, Chaos Dwarfs, and Chaos Demons. And in this particular video, I want to talk about the battle strategy problems that are presented specifically for 3 out of the 4 there. Kislev will probably just be boring. Probably just be the Empire, but with worse artillery and better missile infantry. But for the Ogre Kingdoms, Chaos Dwarfs, and Chaos Demons, they've each got some rather odd problems about them, which I'll get to in just a second. And while all that's going on, I'm going to go ahead and let 2 AI armies duke it out. One being a Vampire Coast army that features a lot of these big boys, as handsome as they are, who, for those of you who aren't aware, are just zombie ogres with a load of shit taped to them. As I guess a kind of very low quality replication of Ogre Kingdoms, and on the opposite side, I've got a Dwarf army, which is largely comprised of units that the Chaos Dwarfs have equivalents of. And I'm going to let these 2 duke it out while I go ahead and talk. So Chaos Demons are the one that I have absolutely no idea how they'll be dealt with. Chaos Demons in the tabletop had a variety of very, very, very strong units that were nerfed by the random chance that at any given moment, they would all just abruptly die. And while that works on tabletop, what with dice rolling and all, and you kind of expect RNG to be the basis of it, Total War Warhammer has not really based itself on that. RNG really only being a factor in stuff like overcasting spells. Chaos Demons, I don't know how they'll deal with that in the game, because the Chaos Demons will have very, very strong units. I don't know. Chaos Dwarfs have a very, very strong, diverse roster, featuring strong examples of just about every unit type, and boy, these guys are boring over here. So the question kind of becomes, well, how will the Chaos Dwarfs be balanced as an army if they've got strong choices for just about every unit type? To which the answer, evidently based off the tabletop, was that they lack good synergy. And when you think about it, you'd have a rather awkward time fitting good monster and cavalry selections into the current Dwarf roster. Never mind the fact that Chaos Dwarf units themselves are supposed to be quite a bit more expensive than Dwarf units. And for that particular case, I think that might be the way Chaos Dwarfs get balanced. They're almost kind of like the anti-Empire. The Empire gets mediocre choices in every category except artillery, but to make up for it, everything synergizes really well in the Empire army list, and that's fundamentally how they work. The Chaos Dwarfs are going to be the complete opposite. They have a variety of really good units, it's just that they have a hard time working together. The Ogre Kingdoms have become a particular topic as well, largely contingent on the fact that outside of like 1 or 2 units, the entire Ogre Kingdoms army list is comprised of large units who are reliant on big charge bonuses. And there are quite a lot of units in this game that feature anti-large damage bonuses and charge defense against large, which entirely nullifies charge bonuses. Now, initially I thought this would be a significant problem for the Ogre Kingdoms as an army list in this game, but the more I think about it, not only are there just obviously ways of working around this, like, say, good old hammer and anvil, but looking at the Ogre Kingdoms army list, it's a pretty diverse one. It's not just your charge bonus heavy, Ogre Iron Guts, or what have you. There's stuff like the Lead Belchers, the Scrap Launchers. Man-Eaters can take a brace of Ogre Pistols, which, for those who aren't aware, a pistol to an Ogre is a full-on fucking rifle for anyone else. The Ogres have a good variety of not only monstrous infantry, but artillery, missile infantry, the varieties of Man-Eater, which I assume Creative Assembly will include a couple varieties of Man-Eater that will probably come with different traits, Not just a brace of pistols, but let's say like ninja Man-Eaters from Nippon that have stalk, right? Because everyone's probably seen, if you're invested in Warhammer, you've probably seen the Ninja Ogre miniature. It's a classic. I think that the Ogres will not have a unique solution to charge defense against large in the way that people have suggested of saying, perhaps, like, the Ogres will just be able to ignore charge defense against large. I can't really see that happening. At least partially because that would be such a hard nerf to spearmen and halberdiers and what have you, units that do specifically take charge defense against large. More likely, I think that the ogres will just have a diverse army list of units that will be able to punish spearmen or halberdiers without just entirely negating them and making them entirely useless against the Ogre King's army list. Ah, the Lore of the Deeps. It looks so cool, but does so little. I'm sure that trapping those 5 Slayers in place was really important. So yeah, just about got what I wanted to say out there. And I'm glad that I was able to get it out in such record time, because I've actually tried to record this particular video a good 2 or 3 times and had a seriously hard time trying to condense my thoughts into a space before the battle wound up. So, hey, look at that. Speaking quickly and actually having cohesive thought. I'll see you later, folks.